Okay, well, I'm Megan.
And I'm Leah.
Thanks for joining us today. Today we're having a special BiblioBites because we're talking about meal prep. And we are going to show you a recipe, but we're talking about storing your food and fridge organization and meal prep. So all things that are good to talk about, especially at the new year, but not always the most
Fun.
exciting. So
This is the book that we're going to use today. It's called Fridge Love, and it's by Kristen Hong. And it's full of lots and lots of really good information for this, all of these things. She puts a lot of different variety in here. And we'll go ahead and get started.
yeah, so this book it has a lot of different stuff in it.
Come on.
Oh, okay. Please sit down. Come on in. The whole point why this book is called Fridge Love is because she says that this is a form of self-love, which is really interesting. That like instead of, I don't know, like taking a bath or like reading a book,
yourself.
that by doing this, you're practicing self-love because you're creating meals that are good for your body, and by meal prepping, you're organizing things so that it makes your life a little easier day to day, and in turn, that makes your life a little easier and makes you care about yourself a little more. So it was kind of an interesting concept that I haven't thought about before.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty cool book.
It is. She has got lots of different, like we said, different sections. And one is, I think I went too far. She has like her philosophy on the fridge and how to organize it. I'm not sure where are we at?
Like the three things.
Yeah. Was it this way?
I don't know what it is. She has like three main philosophies that she follows.
Probably tries to gear you more towards healthy choices if it's right.
Definitely.
It's easy.
Correct, yeah. And she does follow a certain diet in the book, and so she talks about that, but she also talks about how to make the recipes kind of personalized to your own diet. But the three main philosophies, of her book are like put your best shelf forward, and so she says put the food that you want to eat in the front. So if you're trying to eat more vegetables, then put those in the front so that every time you open your fridge, you see those vegetables.
And those are the ones you're going to naturally grab and
encourages you to eat them. And then what are the other ones? One of them was about to store stuff not always in the drawers. So like vegetables, are really good in those drawers because it's like a humid environment. But if you just stuff all the stuff into the drawer, you're not going to see it and you're not going to eat it. So she talks about how you can create kind of the same humid environment by just like taking a jar and filling it with water and putting like asparagus in it and just putting that at the front of your fridge so that you still see it and you want to eat it right away, and it's the same environment to keep it fresh, but it's not hidden away in the drawer.
where you're not going to find it or see it or something.
So that's kind of a good idea because the drawers are small. You can't fit that much in there. So I did like that idea.
Another thing she has like 4 fridge types, so to say. And that is going to be, the first one is going to be the fresh fridge, and that's going to be, she's got photos in here of everything. But the fresh fridge is like geared to, I believe that one was like fresh things that are not necessarily like, it's kind of ready to eat, right? Is that right? Where you don't have to do much to it. You just kind of get it ready and put it, organize it in the fridge, but it's kind of more or less just ready to grab and eat. You don't have to do much to it.
And each of these fridges that she talks about, it depends on how much time you want to spend on it. So like the fresh fridge, you only spend like 15 to 30 minutes per week putting this together because it's just stuff you're grabbing. It's not like an actual meal you've prepped. But whereas the prepped fridge is a fridge where you meal prep for like a week.
Cooked all your meals, you've got them all organized in individual like containers and things like that, and then you've got them in the fridge that way.
And she says that could take a few hours to get all that ready, but then on your day-to-day, you just throw it in the microwave and heat it. So it just depends on how much time you want to spend where.
And then her other 2 that she's got is the chopped fridge and the the no cook fridge. So basically the chopped fridge is where like you've got your veggies and you've chopped them up. They're ready to be added into other meals or work together with other things. You add them to a salad or something like that. And I believe that's the one which they do like sauces and stuff, right? Or is that the other?
No, I think that's the other one.
But basically where it's all chopped up and kind of ready to be used, but you're not necessarily have it all put together.
And so that's kind of a medium time because you're taking time to chop things or like grate cheese and prep them, but you're not putting together the whole meal. So that will take a little bit of time for prep, but also a little time when you're actually making your food. And Leah has an interesting perspective with stuff like that because she was what's it called?
Prep cook.
Cook.
Yes, I was actually a prep cook for a while. And basically what I did with that is I did just that. I chopped all the veggies, I put them into containers, and I made sauces, I did different things, and basically had all of that ready for the chef so that they could just go in, grab it from the fridge, and use it right there. And one thing interesting that's kind of falls in line with the same idea that we're talking about today is we would like label each thing that we did, and we would put the oldest stuff at the front of the fridge. So basically whatever you're using is the oldest first. And so you're not using so things don't go bad. So you're using the older stuff first. And so we all had everything like labeled and put in rows and kind of put together. And this was like for a kitchen, a restaurant. So it was definitely a higher scale and different than you would in your own fridge. But you can use the same ideas and concepts. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what that was. So I feel like I've definitely have experience in that, and it definitely works.
And it makes the cooking go faster because you have all that stuff prepared.
It's all just ready and laid out for you in the right containers and things like that.
And I've seen like some food containers where you can like put what day you made it. It has like a little dial on the top, so then you can remember what day you made it, which is kind of cool. So like this is not good to eat anymore. But yeah, and then the last one, the no cook fridge, that one I think it has like sauces that are already made, but it also just has a lot of ingredients that are ready for meals, but you don't cook them, like a salad bar. So they have all the ingredients ready to go for you to just put out and have a salad bar for your family, stuff like that. So it all just kind of depends on how much time you want to spend and what you eat and who you're cooking for. But she has 4 different options you can choose from. So that's kind of cool. But again, you have to personalize it to yourself. Yes. So if it doesn't work for you, you have to do what works for you. But it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
So
this book also has a lot of different recipes in it, so that is what we're going to share with you today. We're just going to make a quick, it's a winter spice granola is what we're calling it. So it's a real flavorful and spiced granola, which is really fun. And that is what we're going to share with you today.
And then we're going to show you some options of how you can use it, and then how to store it properly for you to use in the future. So anyway, we'll get started with that. And we have all of our ingredients here. So we start by putting things in the blender. So, and this is there's no oil in this, and it's all fruit sweetened. So it's not super sugary. So if you like really sweet granola, you might want to add sugar to this because it's not super sweet, or add more fruits or something. But it is sweet. We tried it.
I thought it was pretty good.
And if you put it on yogurt or something, it will be sweeter. So for this, we're kind of making almost like a paste that we mix with the granola. So when you bake it, it has a yummy flavor. So we're putting 2 bananas in there. And then we're also going to put dates in it. And so we bought this thing of dates, and all the ingredients we got at Fry's here in AJ, so of course they're all readily available. But these are just fresh dates that are already pitted, and we're going to put a few of those in here.
Do you want me to cut to save you some banana slices?
Sure. Okay. So it is how many? 5 of the dates.
Oh, so sorry.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we are putting in almond butter too. So we got this almond butter at Fry's that's actually vanilla almond butter. So that was also to make it a little sweeter.
Added a little bit more flavor.
Mm-hmm. And that I feel like is a big component of the granola.
Definitely. And this kind of gives you a little bit of a little bit of liquid, is so I say, or something softer to kind of help mix it all together. And we're going to do 1/4 of a cup for that one.
And then we're going to put a teaspoon of cinnamon. Oh, I didn't get teaspoons out.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Doop, 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 doop. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon.
Have you guys ever worked with almond butter before? Because I've had it, but never really like done a lot or like cooked with it, and I just feel like it's really sticky. It just like wants to stick to everything.
Mm-hmm.
With apples?
Ooh,
Yeah.
that
I
sounds
like
good.
peanut butter with apples, so I would do that. Yeah, that would be good.
Oh.
Fresh. That's fun.
And then I bet it's delicious.
Yeah.
We're obviously foodies. We're here.
Nice.
There you go.
And we saw a lot of options at Fry's as well. If you.
Mm-hmm. They had like cashew butter at Fry's, different flavored almond butters.
One thing we talked about was that you can definitely make this like versatile. You know, you could use the peanut butter, you could use the cashew butter, or there was an option in the book to, if you don't want it to be, go ahead, if you don't want any nuts, or if you need nut-free or anything, that you can use tahini instead of the almond butter. And then sunflowers, we're going to add walnuts a little bit later, but you can add sunflowers instead of the walnuts. So it's kind of cool. You can just make it to your dietary needs. Was that it? Did we get everything in?
So I just put in 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. So we have bananas, dates, almond butter, cinnamon, and vanilla. And then we're going to blend that until it's smooth and creamy. I have to tell you that this is not a high-grade blender. So it takes a little bit of help.
It's trying.
Maybe break up the banana.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It says in the book to use a high-speed blender. So there we go.
It's moving a little bit. It did work earlier, so don't worry. We'll get through this.
So if you have a high-speed blender, that will work even better than this. But this is the one we have because we're on a budget. So while she's making sure that's all blended, I'm going to start mixing the dry ingredients together, and that's just some rolled oats and some walnuts. And you can use whatever you want, though. If you have other nuts you want to use almonds, or I don't know, some other nut that would be
Cashews,
good. Pecans, yeah, that's a good idea. You could use any nut you want, but for this one we're using walnuts.
All right, we're almost there.
So we're using 3.5 cups of the oats, so I'll start putting those in my bowl.
And it just says mix this till it's smooth, so I'm gonna do it just a little bit longer just to make sure that we don't have any more remaining banana or anything. All right, and then that's done with that.
And then it's 1/2 cup of the chopped walnuts, but we measured that already, so we're just gonna put those in. And we just mix that together a little bit And then we combine it with our almond butter mixture.
All right, and then we just get that all right in there. And you want to make sure to use like a spatula or something and get as much of this as you can, because this is going to be all of your flavor. It's going to be all of your sweetness and basically all the good stuff.
Yeah, it's true. So we're going to mix all of that together. And it wants you to like mix it, and we're going to put it on a cookie sheet, but it said that it's okay for it to be kind of clumpy because granola is kind of clumpy. So even though we're going to get one big clump, that's okay. We'll just spread it out. Has anybody ever made granola before? No?
What is it?
Granola?
Oh,
No. I usually just buy it. But I think it's fun to make it. You can
Yeah.
make it anything you want.
It was honestly easy. It cooked for a lot longer than I was really expecting, but it was easy besides that. So.
Do you guys like granola? Okay, that's good. Otherwise, you might not like our sample.
Yeah.
We're making oatmeal cookie.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Pretty
when this
similar,
was
huh?
baking, it smelled like oatmeal cookies, I thought. It smells really good.
Can I scrape on your spoon?
Oh, yeah. We're not going to bake it right now. We
So
already have
we
one
some
baked
pre-made
for you.
samples for you guys.
Yeah. And then we just show you all the steps. Yeah. We wish. So we'll just make sure that's all really combined well. And then we're going to pour it onto the sheet, and we have parchment paper on there.
I ended up using my hands the last time. I might need to
Oh.
do that. It might mix
Okay,
a little bit
Leah.
smoother.
Okay. And we are going to put some dried fruit into this after it bakes, but we talked about there's like a lot of fun ways that you could customize this if you want to. You
So-
could add like dried apricots or
Dried pineapple or dried papaya. That kind of stuff is always really good in granola. And I know my mom had made one before that had both of them, and which was really good. So you could easily add that to this. We just use golden raisins. So they're just lighter raisins, basically. I tried them. If you haven't had them before, they taste pretty much the same.
and they're in your granola pack, so you can
Yes.
try them.
But these we're gonna add after we bake it. So I don't think they would react very well in the oven. They'd probably get really puffy and stuff. So what we'll do is we'll bake this, and then we'll add them at the very end.
Yeah. But you could also add like dried craisins, dried cranberries. You could add regular raisins if you'd rather do that. We talked about you could even make this like a little trail mix if you wanted to, and you could add like white chocolate
M&Ms
chips,
or white chocolate,
yeah,
or yogurt chips, or things like that.
pretzels. So you can pretty much do whatever you want. And then you can put it on top of whatever you want too. You can just eat it kind of like a cereal with milk in a bowl, or you can put it on yogurt, an acai bowl we talked about. So there's a lot of possibilities.
All right. So then and like she said, if it's clumpy, that's fine, but just spread it out as much as you can. And then what you do is you bake this for about 20 to 30 minutes. And then you take it out, and then you're going to take just like a spoon or something and kind of mix it all up. And what it is a lot of it stuck together, so you kind of got to break it up. But basically, you do that, mix it up really good, break up pieces, and then bake it again for another 20 to 30 minutes. And then from there, after it comes out, you'll let it cool, and then you'll add your raisins or your dried fruits. And then you can put it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is pretty much ready to go. That's all we can show you because then we would bake this. So yeah, and it smells good. It tastes good. You'll get to try it. But yeah, it is pretty simple.
Do you want to do the...
Yeah, and we're gonna show you a fun way to eat it is to make a parfait. So we'll show you that.
You can do something very simple, and I'll grab one of these because I didn't.
So yeah, this is just like vanilla yogurt. So I'm just gonna put that on there. Do you have a vision?
No, this is my vision right here.
Okay. So here's some yogurt.
And then you can just put the granola right on top. And you could even do layers if you wanted. You could go
That's
halfway,
true.
add some granola, add some more yogurt. But you can just put that right there.
And then we saved a couple banana slices, so we'll garnish it and make it look fancy. So that's kind of something you can do with it, but it's very versatile. So you can eat it in a lot of different ways. But one thing that we want to make sure we talk about is like how to store it and how to generally do food storage. So it keeps, they say in the book that it will keep best in a glass storage container with a tight lid for up to 2 weeks. So that's a pretty long time to be able to use the granola. But in the book, they do talk about kind of the best types of containers to store your food in. And so we brought a bunch of examples to show you. In the book, the author is very partial to glass containers because in her experience, they keep her food fresher, she thinks. And she used plastic containers, and there's no scientific evidence saying that the glass is better than the plastic, but she said that she thinks the plastic she was using absorbs a lot of the flavors. And I know with my experience, it will absorb like colors too. If I have a food that's like very pigmented, then I'll wash my container and it will still look that color for a while. So I think there is some truth behind that. But a lot of it just kind of relies on how tightly your lid fits because you want to make sure and keep air out of there. So she likes the glass ones because a lot of them have like really tight seals. So this one has like one that you can clip and it keeps it pretty airtight, or like a mason jar that's like very airtight. So
An interesting thing that she did say in the book, though, is for people, if they have to use what you can use. And some people find ones like these, they're really hard to open. You can't get the lids off very well or something like that. And so she said it's more important that it's something that you can open or that you are comfortable using. Because if you put your food in a container and you think about it and you're like, now I have to open that container. I don't want to mess with that. You're not going to eat it. You know what I mean? And so it's better that you use if it's maybe something like this, that where you can just pop that lid right off, something easy or something that, but it still has those features. So.
And if some of them, like the glass ones, are really heavy, and once you fill it with food, if it's too heavy for you to get out of the fridge, then you shouldn't use those kind. So use what works best for you, but she said in her experience, the glass with really tight-fitting lids kept her food the freshest.
There are ones like these ones she has, and it is glass and it's kind of got the divider, which is really nice, but with this one, it's not as good as a seal, so it doesn't seal quite as good. So you could use that one if if that's what's going to work best for you, but you have to keep it in mind that you might be sacrificing the good seal for that.
So if you're going to eat it soon, like if you make a meal and this is like your meal prep for the week or whatever, and you're going to eat it the next day, put it in this one. That's great. And it's nice because it like separates the food. But if you want it to stay fresh for a really long time, pick one that has a better seal and leaves not as much air in the container.
And that was another thing they suggested was, even though it seems like we talked about it like a lot of work to us, but if you have like, a big container and then you eat half of it, you've got a lot of air left in there. And so they suggest you change it to maybe a smaller one where that food will fit nicely in here and there'll be less air. So that's going to help keep your food longer better, or better longer for longer periods of time and things like that. So
And
that was another tip.
is a lot of work. I never do stuff like that. But I understand why you would do that. Because if you're trying to keep it fresh longer and so you can have it for longer, it makes sense.
And you just got to know your purpose. You have to know why you're doing it, what your goals are, and how you want to accomplish those. So.
And if you have always wanted to learn the history of fridges, check out this book because there is so much in the beginning about the history of like refrigeration, and she does that to try to help you appreciate that we are living in a time where we're very blessed because we have refrigerators. We don't have to use ice boxes. We don't have to dry all our meats or preserve things in the cold snow or something like that. But it's a lot in the book about that. So it's very interesting. But so she knows a lot about fridges.
Yeah.
And she talks about how a lot of them cool from the top. So if you want food that, needs to stay really cool, like maybe
the dairies or cheeses.
Yeah, that you want to put that on the top shelf closest to the cooling. She also says the back of the fridge is really cool, which I know I've experienced. Sometimes I put stuff too far back and it will like freeze. So if you want things to be cooler, you can put them towards the back.
But she also said don't go too far back or you're going to block the airflow, and so then it won't get into the rest of the fridge. So keep it towards the back, but not blocking any airflow.
And so she talks about like put things at eye level that you eat all the time, like maybe the veggies that you're trying to eat more of, or the salad bar that you have for your meal once a week. Put that at eye level and push things to the front, like we said. What else?
There was one more thing I thought I was another thing, and we actually learned this more in like a food safety, but something to keep in mind is they suggest that you want to keep like your meats and things on the bottom shelves and like your fresher vegetables and stuff on the top. So keep that in mind as you're putting stuff together too, because if like those meats or something drip, you don't want them to get onto your fresh fruits or vegetables. So that was another helpful tip as well that we thought of. So.
And she talks about every type of fridge. If you have a stacked fridge, if you have a French door fridge, if you have a mini fridge. And she talks about like if you have roommates, how to like organize your food because the shelves are different temperatures. So it's hard to say you get the top shelf, I get the bottom shelf, because then you might have food that needs to be on the top. So she talks about separating it by color, having trays, different stuff like that.
Lots of different organization. And another thing that was fun, we thought, there was a big section in this book where she goes through like every fruit and vegetable and talks about like the seasonality of it, about shopping, about the optimal storage conditions, so how you should store it, or like when to buy it at the supermarket, how to chop it, and like all these details about the fruit itself. So she goes through, it's a big chunk of this book right here where she talks about all of these different things. So if you have certain questions about certain fruits or vegetables or how you best to keep them for longer, things like that, this would be very helpful in that situation.
It's like not something that I read through because it's one of those things where if you like have broccoli, you go and look at the page about broccoli.
Yeah.
So, and you know like when to buy it and how to cut it, how to store it, stuff like that. So it's a really helpful book.
Definitely,
for sure.
yes. There's lots of really good information in it, but it's very specific to fridges, organization, and
and healthy
and
recipes.
Healthy living, yeah.
And she talks about meal prep and suggests if you want to meal prep that you start small. Start with like just doing breakfast and prepping that, and then moving on and doing lunches or dinners and just keep adding a new recipe each week, something like that. So if you want to start doing meal prepping, she gives you a lot of good kind of basic tips
And
to get started.
Where to start and stuff like that, yeah. So.
And the last part that I almost forgot, remember we said she had 3 philosophies?
Oh, yes.
I never said the last one because I forgot,
Oh, yeah.
but I just remembered. It's to not stuff your fridge. So which is hard to do if you have a big family, but she talks about then the airflow, and your food won't be refrigerated quite as well if you just stuff it full. So those are kind of her main philosophies, that less is more, and put your best shelf forward, the stuff in the front, and then don't be afraid to not use the drawers for like veggies, to put that stuff in the actual fridge. So
and to have, like she said, a great time to like go through your fridge or clean it even is right before you go grocery shopping when it's the most empty. Then you can take that time to go through it, clean it, maybe wipe down the shelves, that kind of stuff, and then you'll be ready for all your new stuff.
And she does say that she wipes her fridge down once a week. I cannot
Okay,
say that I
anybody
do
else
that.
say that? 'Cause I could not.
And then she said she For deep cleaning it, she said it depends on your family about the amount of food, but she suggested like quarterly deep cleaning it. But I gotta say, these are goals for me.
Yeah.
I don't do that regularly. But it's very inspiring. She has a lot of really good ideas and makes me want to be better, you know? And like the whole point of the book that by practicing this fridge love is loving yourself, I think is really cool. So
and setting yourself up for a better time. And maybe if you guys have goals for 23, you know, to eat healthy or something like that, then this can be a helpful step in that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone have questions? This is an obscure book. But we'll try to answer any questions. So that's okay.
All right. In that case, come get some samples. We got samples of our granola, so as you guys are ready. But thank you guys all for coming.
Yeah, thank you for joining
so much
us.
for tuning in on Facebook and Instagram. So we appreciate you guys being here today.
And please join us at the end of this month. We have charcuterie board basics. If you haven't been to that class before, we're doing it again. Yep. And then in February, the same day, the third Wednesday, we're doing a dessert charcuterie board class for Valentine's Day. So that will be really fun. We hope you can all join us.
Yeah.
Fun.